tipping into the second hour of the show. And, of course, we're always excited and very honored and pleased to have on board who we have as a featured artist on any given Wednesday. Been doing this for getting on to 2 years now, and always excited to have brand new artists, classic country artists, whatever the case may be, but an artist nonetheless in the genre of country or in and around there somewhere. And today is no exception to that rule. We're very excited to have on board Beth and Darren. These guys are hailing from Seattle, Washington, beautiful area out there. But they gave birth to some beautiful and elegant music, really, really nice stuff. I've had the opportunity to listen to some of it. And we're going to talk to them about how they got started, because they kind of got started and put together in a very unusual type of circumstances. Didn't really have this as a kind of a game plan, but it worked out for the best. They've released a brand new album. We're going to listen to some of their music, and I'm very happy to have on board both Beth and Darren. Welcome to the show of a group called March to May.
Thank you.
Yeah, how are you guys doing?
Doing well. Enjoying the sun out here in Seattle. It's like 80 degrees.
I heard you guys are like in a heat wave out there.
Certainly true. Nobody here has air conditioning, too, so everybody's buying out all the fans.
I heard. You guys are on one side of the scale, and we're like underwater over here on the East Coast.
I heard that.
Oh, no.
Yeah, had some bad storms kind of hitting us pretty hard in the last couple days, so we've got some flooding issues. So it's not the heat here, it's the water. It's too bad like the country can't like come together and all can't be happy across the board, but...
Exactly.
But, so listen, guys, why don't you each tell us a little bit about yourself independently, and ladies first. So, Beth, just tell us a little bit about your background, and then we'll chat with Darren, and then you can tell us kind of like how March to May got born and what it's all about for you guys. So go ahead, Beth. Give us a little background of who you are and where you come from.
Absolutely. So, as Kate has already mentioned, my name is Beth, and I grew up kind of strangely. My father was in the Foreign Service, so I ended up moving around the country and world quite a lot before settling on the West Coast, and then just continuing to travel as an adult. I started singing pretty early. I sang in choirs and did a lot of voice, and then picked up the harp in my teens, but didn't really have any sense of doing it professionally at all. Had always thought that music was going to be a hobby that I really loved, but I didn't think I was really going to have a good opportunity to take it forward and make it something real. But then a couple of years ago, I got a job offer in Seattle and moved out here, and literally within a week of moving out here, I met Darren, and after a couple of weeks, it became pretty clear that we had this musical connection and that we could really go somewhere with it. So that's kind of my story and how I got into March to May.
Darren?
Yeah, so I actually started playing classical piano when I was 5, played for quite a while, a couple little bands here and there, and then stopped playing. I stopped playing piano and actually took up guitar. So I teach myself guitar in my 20s, and that's all I've been doing, for the last 10 years, just playing guitar and doing vocals. And I definitely have been writing kind of, or I've written quite a few of my own songs over the last while, and was again playing in different bands. Was playing solo for a while. Recorded actually a solo album a few years ago, and just wasn't really finding the motivation and drive to keep it going, and was very I guess not very excited about what I was doing and what I was writing, and pretty much until I met Beth, about 2.5 years ago now, that all changed, and as Beth said, we really found this musical chemistry, and things just kind of took off.
So you guys kind of got together and were like, oh, you play an instrument, I play an instrument, let's play together. And then you were like, whoa, wait a minute.
Well, kind of.
Yes and no.
Yeah, so and that's funny because we actually didn't, Beth knew that I played music. We actually started out just as housemates. So she moved in with me in the house that I was living in. And a group of us took a trip to the coast, and I was playing my guitar around a campfire out there on the beach. This was like late December. And I was just playing this one song, and Beth started just harmonizing, vocally, with like what I was singing, and that was just really first little hint of possibility.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
So then when did you guys go, hey, now wait a minute, maybe this is something more than just hanging out, on the beach and playing around a campfire? Like when did you guys start really getting serious?
I think there were a couple of little turning points. Shortly after we had sort of been hanging out on the beach, I had my parents bring my harp from Oregon, where it had been living while I was traveling a lot, and was up in my room one day just tuning my harp and playing a little bit, and I started hearing these really weird overtones, and at first that was kind of cool. The harp kind of does that sometimes, so I thought that was what was happening, and then I realized that some of those overtones were syncopated to what I was playing, so it couldn't have been me. And I looked out my door, and there's Darren with his guitar very quietly playing along to whatever I was just kind of making up in my head. And I think we both kind of had a moment there and ended up sort of sitting together for a while and just kind of, I guess you would call it, just kind of jamming a little bit on our two instruments. And I think that was another moment of clarity that, hey, there's some sort of creative energy here. And then in March, so I moved to Seattle and moved into this house in December, and then in that March, we had been playing around a little bit, enough instrumentally to know that there was something we wanted to explore there, and we decided that we were going to go away on a little songwriting retreat out to the San Juan Islands in Washington State, and see if we could write something together, which really wasn't something that either of us had really done before. So that songwriting retreat was first of all the first of many, but also really that first foray into making this a serious venture.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So then, okay, so you guys were, you realized that you had the musical chemistry and you guys sounded good and you liked what you were doing. How did you go forward with getting the CD produced? Because that takes a little bit more than going, oh, we sound good together.
Yeah, definitely. So, from that point, the Beth describes where we kind of wrote our first couple songs. It was just, things kind of took off. So we came up with a name a couple months later in May, March to May, and and started booking a lot of shows. Like in the first year, it was amazing how many gigs we were able to get, and people were really kind of getting on board and excited. And we, by winter, it was kind of obvious direction to go, and so we launched a Kickstarter campaign in March of 2014. So about a year after we started playing, and wound up funding that very successfully. And we had over 150 backers on board, and raised like 132% of what we needed, and that's that pretty much funded our entire album, and it was a really exciting moment, I think, for both of us, realizing that we could, there's a lot of movement there, we could really take it forward. And so then we went finally into the studio in August of last year to start recording.
Cool. And so now, the 6 songs that you have on this album, are they all songs that you guys wrote together?
Yeah, for the most part. I think we co-write almost all of our songs. We have a couple of songs where one of us has taken a little bit more leadership than another, but the final product, whatever gets recorded or performed, is always really a combination of both of our songwriting.
Okay. Okay. So. And I just want to step back for a second because you said something, Darren. And so the title, I was wondering about how you guys came up of the name of your band. You feel that March to May of the 2014 year was the pinnacle point of where you guys were like, deciding this was going to be your future. Is that am I getting that correctly?
Actually, well, we came up with a name in May of 2013.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we spent a long time looking for something that was going to fit us right, and wasn't taken as a band name, and it had some symbolism to it. And March to May was kind of our formative period when we wrote our first songs, and we really started things started kind of congealing for both of us in terms of coming together as a duo. And my birthday's in March, Beth's birthday's in May. There's a lot of symbolism around the name.
Oh, that's cool. So yeah, so it kind of represents you guys not only for your writing, but a little bit personally and things along that line. So that's really cool.
Yeah,
that's interesting. So tell us about the pictures where you guys were on an island, and I believe it's I don't want to say it wrong. So you tell me a little bit about the picture because I think it's really cool. Or is it the video?
Oh, the music video we shot?
Yes, the video.
Yeah, absolutely. So we mentioned earlier that we went out to the San Juan Islands in Washington to see if we could write our first songs together.
Right.
And so we did write songs that trip, and one of the songs that we came out with that very first time writing together was a song called Embers, which actually made it onto the album, and has really become a signature song for us. So it was fitting, first of all, that we did our first video for that song, and that we returned to the San Juan Islands, to Orcas Island in particular,
right,
to shoot the video. And it was just an amazing experience. Neither of us had shot a music video before, and we had, I think, 2 days flat to shoot the entire thing and get everything we needed. And it was middle of December, so we were praying for the right weather, and luckily we got it. But it was a wonderful experience.
Now tell us about the song Embers, because I think that's one of the songs that we had discussed that we want to expose my listening audience to and have them give a listen to it. But what is that song about? You guys wrote that one, right? And tell us a little bit more about what it means. What's the portrayal to it?
Absolutely. Embers is really a song. I mean, at its core, it's a song about loss, but it's also a song about finding yourself in the midst of loss. And I'll precurse my story with saying that I think both of us think that at its best, music is kind of a mirror. That we feel like we've done our jobs when people come up to us, either after a show or write to us and say like, "Hey, your song, whatever song it is, really touched me, and it made me think of blah 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 experience in my own life." Like that's a powerful thing to do for somebody, or to a powerful kind of interaction to have with somebody. And so that's what we're going for. But to me, this song was inspired actually by the passing of my grandfather, and watching my grandmother kind of go through that period of loss, or that process of grieving and mourning, and come out the other side and continue to live a full and happy life, even though my grandfather is always, and the memory of the life she shared with him, is always the lens through which she sees her own life.
Mm-hmm.
So that idea that even when people leave you, there's a part of them that stays with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's what you mean by the embers. Even though the fire is out, there's still a little bit of the glow left, and kind of hangs out there. That's awesome. That's a neat perspective of something like that. Well, I think we're going to take a quick break, guys. If you can hang in there for a moment, and we're going to come back with your song Embers to kind of give people the idea of, your talents and the collaboration of you two together, and give it a listen, because it is off the album, and I have one or two of these CDs that we're going to be giving away a little bit later in the show, so people can get a taste of what you guys are all about. Can you guys hang in there for just a moment?
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. We are talking to Beth and Darren of March to May. We're discussing their album, the CD that they have out. It's a little something called The Water's Edge, and we're going to be featuring a song from there, a little something called Embers, coming up in just a minute right here on Wall to Wall Country and Penn's Peak Radio. Don't go anywhere. March to May's Embers, right here on Penn's Peak Radio, off there, The Water's Edge. Wow, that's like very haunting. It's interesting. It's very haunting, the whole, premise of it, the sound of it. But when people listen to the words, it's interesting, because people say that all the time. It's like that person's no longer here, but yet sometimes I turn around and I see them, or I expect them to be standing there. I think they're going to walk through a door. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
That's very awesome. Now, I know you guys are a little short on time, so I want to get to another one of your songs really quickly. One of the other tunes we talked about on the album, which I have one we're going to be giving away later on in the show, is something that you guys named Georgia. You want to tell us a little bit about that song?
Yeah, I can start, and then I'll let Beth actually take over on the latter half. But I started writing the music to this about 5 years ago, actually, when I was traveling through Southeast Asia. So long before I met Beth, And I'd written, an entire song, the lyrics, the melody, everything else. And then I just kind of put it aside, kind of forgot about it. Didn't really, do much with it at all. And then one time, I guess, actually last year, just a couple months before we went in the studio, we were at a songwriting retreat on the Olympic Peninsula, in this little tiny boathouse. And I started playing the guitar part to it again. And then...
Yeah, and it's funny because he was just kind of making up nonsense words and just playing around with different melodic ideas. And he said something that sounded kind of like "Take Me Home, Georgia," and for some reason that just struck a note in my head. And I sat down and I wrote an entirely new melody to the song and new lyrics to the song in about 20 minutes flat. I think it was that part of the songwriting was probably the fastest song we've ever written. Yeah, it's become another really fun one for us. It's a little bit more rocking than some of our other stuff, but it's definitely a special song for us.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I think what we're going to do is we're going to hit the bottom of the ID here really quickly, and we're going to play that one. If you can hang in for just a few more minutes till after we get Georgia played, I just want everybody to know how to find you guys. So can you hold on for just a few more moments?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right here on Penn Speak Radio and Wall to Wall Country, being performed by Beth and Darren, guys hailing from Seattle, Washington, and I like that one a lot. I love the beat to it. It's really, really great. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you find with your out and performing that people are already getting into knowing your words and singing along with you guys? Is the performance out there, a lot of fun? Is that what you guys are doing?
Oh, yeah. No, that's definitely been the case. The last Seattle show we actually had a little cadre, especially when we actually played Georgia. We had a little cadre of people who came to the show who were both singing along and dancing.
Nice.
And had these little choreographed dance moves that I don't know where they came up with them, but it was quite a treat to sort of look out into the crowd and see that.
Nice.
So
nice.
yeah, it's taken off.
Nice. So people want to get a hold of you guys, find out about more. I mean, obviously, march2may.com is the website, but what's the best way for them to get a hold of your music, guys?
Yeah, actually, directly on our website, there are links to all of our social media as well as like Bandcamp and places like that. We're definitely on all the major channels of like iTunes and Amazon and Spotify as well. But then one of the big things that we always like to mention too is just following us on social media. It's a great way to keep up with us, to talk to us, to engage with us. And so on Facebook, it's just March to May Band. Mm-hmm. Make sure that you see the pictures of us, not the one in Australia. There's actually March to May that started in Australia and after us.
Oh, nice.
And on Twitter and Instagram, it's just at March to May.
Nice. And they can see the video that we were talking about before if they want to see kind of the background of the song that you guys had did with Ambers and really kind of get more of a feel of that song and what you guys are talking about. But good stuff on here. There's some pictures of you, upcoming shows where people can find out where you're going to be heading between Oregon and Washington State, doing some fun stuff there. Good way. Are you the folks who kind of answer the social media? Is that one of you two or both of you?
Yeah, it's actually both of us, and so we manage all of our social media accounts ourselves, and we love when people talk to us on those. We do guarantee that we will write back. We will talk back.
Nice.
So.
And that's always nice when people are going and finding out more and more about you. So the album, The Water's Edge, the little CD, Water's Edge, has 6 songs on it. You can get your hands on it here in just a little bit. I do have an additional copy that we're going to be giving away to our listening audience to help spread the word about March to May. But, I know you guys are pretty close to home, performing close to home, but if you ever do get out and about and you head our direction, we'd love to have you in the studios. I open up that invitation to all of my artists. We'd love to see you do a little performing. We have a living room type setting here, so you both would fit quite comfortably and be able to play some of your music here. So if you could just kind of keep that in the back of your minds, we'd love to have you.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
absolutely. We would love that.
Yeah. It would be really nice to see you guys here in the East Coast and help get your music out across the country a little bit. But I will do my best by giving out your your CD. And one other last thing that I like to do at the end of my show, I like to feature one more song and remind everybody, because this entire show re-airs on a Sunday. So if you're listening on Wednesday and maybe you're just kind of getting tuned into the show, you would have already missed some of the music from March to May and hear what they had to say. Remember, the whole show re-airs again on a Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, with the interview in the second hour, which would be 9 a.m. Eastern. And I like to close out my show with one of the songs to remind everybody about that in a little bit. And one of the songs we talked about was Crazy Universe. So I'm dying to know the story behind that song.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Crazy Universe was actually a song written a little bit earlier, and it just really speaks to the unpredictability of our lives. And to be honest, I can't remember exactly what the inspiration was for the song at the time when the lyrics were being written, but it really just kind of speaks to that sense of we don't know what's gonna come our way, and
right.
In many ways it really ties into what has happened for Beth and I, kind of just very coincidentally meeting 2.5 years ago in this very roundabout way, and having something really amazing come out of it. And so, that song really kind of speaks to the two of us.
Nice. So, do you got before I let you guys go, do you got a wink, wink, nudge, nudge of something that your fans can look forward to? Is there anything you can kind of sneak us in on some information? Anything that you have on the docket? What's going on?
Yeah. So tomorrow we're actually leaving for a little mini tour through Oregon, but on a sort of less regionally focused basis. We are wrapping up shooting a music video for Georgia, the last song that was played. So that will be coming out later this summer. And then we also have a really exciting collaboration planned for another video. So if you are into the music videos, definitely keep in touch with us and follow back. We've got some pretty exciting things in the works.
Well, that sounds like a great plan. And I wish you all the best of luck, and I hope everything goes your way, guys. I hope that Crazy Universe stays crazy, but always in a good way for both of you, Beth and Darren. Thank you so much for joining my show today. We'll definitely be giving away that other CD a little bit later on this afternoon, re-feature you at the end of the show, and remind people to listen in on Sunday if they missed any of it. But check these guys out, March to May, and that's marchtomay.com. Social media links are on there. Their videos on there, and that's probably the best way to find out what's going on with these guys hailing from Seattle. So good luck, and thank you so much for being a part of the show, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much for having us, Daisy.
Yeah,
no problem. Good luck and stay in touch. And we'd love to hear about something maybe new and exciting in the future. Feel free. You always are welcome back on the show.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, guys. Bye.